Good morning, everybody. In the spirit of Christmas, I'm wearing this. I wish I could be in the classroom and teaching a regular day like I would normally, but it wasn't possible. So we'll wait until January and we'll have maybe cakes and some fruit and some Christmas soda. I'll buy some and save it for when we get back to class. Please get your books. We're only going to do one page on the book today. And we're going to do one text, which is actually a summary of a longer text that you have already read. So it won't be difficult at all. We're going to explore the vocabulary later on using Quizlet. And that will be it for the day. I'm not going to assign a crazy amount of things for you to do, because it's close to Christmas. Today we would have done, probably, we would have finished watching the movie and we would have continued activities with it. But that didn't work out so well, did it? So we're going to do this instead. We read a text called The Last Border. And I would like somebody to type in chat right now if you remember what that word means. Border. I remember when I said the border, somebody was talking about to board, right? As in B-O-A-R-D. And you're right about one thing, the sound is exactly the same. To board, border. But those are different words with different spellings as well. So if you're typing in the chat right now, I'm sure a lot of you have gotten the correct answer. Here's the deal. There is a delay between what I'm saying and what's going on in the chat. So that's why you'll see me typing stuff in the chat, even if it doesn't look like I am typing. So we're going to continue with this. The border. When we talked about this in class, I asked you questions about the countries on the Norwegian border. Which is the country which is the closest to Norway that we can just drive to? And all of you said, which country? Type it up, just for the heck of it, for me to see if everyone's paying attention. It's very important when we do classes on this platform that you type in your answers. When I teach online, I work 3 times as much. I wake up early to prepare the class, then I have to film it, and then before I even finish, I have to go back into the chat box to see what you're doing. And I have a lot to do on these days. And one of the things that I do is I go back to the whole thing and I watch it, and I watch the chat box and I see the names of the people who are typing, so I know who was paying attention and who wasn't. That's why I need you to have your computers. If you have a Gmail account, it means you have Google. You have Google Chrome, you have a Gmail account, you can sign in and you can type in the chat. So everybody wrote down Sweden. I haven't been to Sweden at all since March last year, and I used to go every month. We had all these conversations in the classroom when we talked about the border. In this case here, on this text that we read, they were talking about a different border. So let me write some things here. To board It means to get on a plane, right? You can say, I am going to board my flight to Chicago. So that's to get on the plane. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about borders. Now we're talking about this word here, border. The border between Sweden and Norway is about an hour away. So this is what we're talking about. But the border here, the last border, it's a different story. You already read the text and you've done a lot of work on vocabulary. We're going to continue with that, but we're going to listen and read. The page is 143. If you have already read it, I am playing it on purpose again just to refresh your memory so we can go into the vocabulary. It will take 2 minutes and 42 seconds. Very important. As you listen, read the words. You will become better spellers that way. English. I don't know about you guys, but I think English is a very important language to learn. I heard some kids talk about how they were tired of studying nynorsk and they would rather study 1 extra year of English instead. I'm not so sure about that, about dropping nynorsk, but 1 extra year of English, I could get on board with that. So let me get everything ready. And I'm going to play the audio for you. Page 143. Remember, this will take 2 minutes and 42 seconds only.
Shortcut. The Last Border. This is the story of how Shafi'ullah, a young man from Afghanistan, came to Britain. As an illegal immigrant, he knew he would have to be smuggled into the country. They threw him out in Calais and told him to wait. This was the last border. This would take time, and they would have to be patient. The agent said there was only a matter of time before one people smuggler took the $1,000 a head to smuggle them into Britain. Then the agents left them. They would call when it happened. There were some people who waited weeks. There were some people who waited months. But he was lucky. The agent had found space for 3 of them in a lorry heading over. Shafi'ullah barely had time to greet the other Afghan around his age and an Iraqi who seemed much older before they pushed them in and the container was locked. He could see the other boys' eyes in the dark. They had nothing to worry about. London was the country of human rights. They couldn't touch you there. All you had to do was tell them you were running from a war country and came from danger. That way, they would never send you home. He was trembling as the lorry drove onto the train. This was the country they had always talked about. The country of London. The city where everyone is rich. The city where you can become rich. He could not count the time that passed. Then the lorry stopped and the driver came to look at them. He called the police. The truck driver said, "Hello, officer. I'm a truck driver just coming in from Calais. I was driving and I heard some scrabbling round the back. And now I've checked and I've got some migrants in me back. Nothing to do with me, officer. They must have broke in or something." They came quickly. The boys were so excited and joyful to be at the end of the golden road that they began shouting out, "Hello! Hello!" and waving to the policemen. They were shivering with happiness.
So in this story, we have somebody who's crossing a border, not in the same way that we cross the border to go to Sweden and buy goodies and buy cheaper food and all that, but somebody that was crossing the border for a better life. And they were happy to get there. But then the reality of their lives might not be a bed of roses. Who knows? Who knows what other problems they will encounter once they're there. They will have to restart their lives from scratch. But at any rate, they're probably happier to be somewhere else, especially this young man. Please type in chat, where does the young man in the story come from? And in a sentence, as short a sentence as you can write so that I can see everybody writing, I want you to tell me, why would somebody from that country want to go to Britain? And remember, this is all something that took place before the end of the war, which ended recently. So the answers I'm looking for, let me write this right here. The boy in the story comes from Afghanistan. He's going to England to run away from the war. What kind of situation is he coming in as? Is he coming in as a person who is legal? Is he coming in with all the proper documents and paperwork? Or is he coming as an illegal immigrant? Please type in chat. That's the answer I'm looking for. He's coming to another country as an illegal immigrant. But he would rather do that than have to be where he is. At that point, being in Afghanistan wouldn't have been the best for him. We're going to now explore some of the vocabulary. You can close your books now. Those of you who already worked on your Quizlet, you will know most of the words, if not all of them. We're going to start with this word, permanently. Please type in what that word means. Hopefully, you will have come up with this. The next word, it's a verb, to push. Type it in. Remember, I'll go back and watch this entire video without sound, of course, but I'm going to be reading everything in the chat box and see whose names are typing in things, because that's how I count in your participation. When we are on Teams, on a conference, on Canvas, or on Skype, and I can see everybody and I can hear people answering questions, it's a different story because I know who's doing what. But when we are on this platform, I'm going to need you to type in your answers. And if you're sitting with somebody, you can tell me, hey, I'm sitting with this person and we're both typing the answers so that I know that you're participating. To push, there we go. Å dytte, å skyve. To pull, those words are opposites. To push and to pull. So by saying that, I might have given you the answer. Please type in what you think to pull means. Refugee. What is a refugee? Please type in a sentence using this word. We're only going to look at some of these words, not all of them, but after we're done looking at them, we're going to do Quizlet Live. So please keep your phones charged because in a few minutes we're going to do 3 rounds of Quizlet Live. And I'm going to make screenshots with the names of the winners so that later on you can be awarded prizes. So an example of a sentence would be, a refugee is a person that is taken into a country either for political asylum or to be protected from the realities of the country where he or she comes from. A refugee is a person that comes into the country with all the rights that a person who already is from here or lives here has, and they usually are taken in for a chance at a better life. Refugees are legal immigrants, which is different from the situation that you were reading on that text. That boy was smuggled into the country. He was hiding inside a vehicle to come in. Refugee, that's the word in Norwegian for it. The next word, circumstance. Instead of giving me the definition for it or the translation, use it in a sentence. Just so you know, these definitions that you have here, you have to know what I mean. It's not full hold as in relationship. That's not the type of circumstance. It has to do with a situation, with manner, cause and consequence, the form, the manner in which something happens. For example, the circumstances in which I came to Norway were very positive. I came here on a family reunion visa because my husband is Norwegian. Those are the circumstances. So that's what that means. It's not full hold like relationship. It's a different type of word, just so you know. We're only going to do 3 more of those, and we're going to go and do Quizlet Live. I hope your phones are charged. Departure. I want you to make a sentence using the word departure, airport, and time. departure, airport, and time. I'm sure you can fit those in. I wonder if somebody thought of the same thing that I did. When I arrived at the airport, it was already time for my departure. Avreise. Arrival. So arrival is the noun. Substantive, arrival. There is a verb that relates to the word arrival. Can you type it in chat? Arrival is the noun, substantive, but there is also a verb. What is the verb? Just type it in chat. We're almost done with this and we're going to do Quizlet Live. So, arrival is the noun and the verb is to arrive. And if you wrote that, you got it right. Arrival is the noun, to arrive is the verb. Last word we're going to look at is two words, host country. Think of the words separately. Host. What does the word host mean? Let me give you an example. If you are a guest in my house, I am your hostess. And my husband is your host. There we go. Perhaps not the best translation for it, but it's just to give you an idea of what the words mean. Please get your phones ready. We're going to need your phones. We're going to do Quizlet Live. And here's what I'm looking for. I am looking for, just a second, I need to move a few things around. I am looking for the words from this text that you read, but I want you to be able to use the words. It doesn't help me if you memorize the words and what they mean if you can't use them. I want you to be able to use the words. That is the whole purpose. So we're going to do the Quizlet and hopefully, yeah, this is an old video. This is not at all what I was looking for. But I'm just going to leave it there while I prepare you for Quizlet Live. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open a sample game in the background so you will see a game going on. It is nobody's game. It's a sample game. So you don't have to worry about the code that you will see on the screen or anything like that. You have to use the code that's in the chat box. You have to use the code that is in the chat box because that's the one we'll be using. I'm going to make screenshots so that everybody can have prizes later on when we're back in the classroom, which is going to happen. We have to be optimistic. I know people are saying you have to be realistic. Yeah, let's be realistic, but let's be realistic and also be optimistic and think good thoughts and think that good things will happen. There are 14 students in this class, give or take. So I need to have everybody in for me to start. As soon as I see all the names, then I'll start. Remember, the game that you see on your screen is not necessarily your game. It could be a simple game that I'm playing in the background just to make sure that I can illustrate what we're doing. This is the last one. We're going to play one more. In this last one, remember, I'm keeping track of whoever is winning to make sure that the 3 winners are going to get prizes. Some of these words you may never need to use, but you need to be able to recognize them and know how to read them if you see them somewhere. Some of them are quite obvious, some of them are not. But this word, for example, to shiver, you might need to use it at some point to talk about how it was so cold you were shivering. Tension, that's a word you might need to use. Quickly, another word you might need to use. And there we have it. So all of you, I hope you have a great rest of your day. The only thing that you need to do, is practice the Quizlet words, but don't worry too much. Just practice. Use match, test, match, test, write, and send me a screenshot once you get 75% of a test. That's all you need to do for the day. I'll see you on Tuesday. I'll let you know what we're doing. Have a great day.